with the international break coming right up, isn't just gonna be a very boring break where there's gonna be like friendlies playing around between countries. There's still a couple of World Cup qualifying spots that are still in play, especially both in Europe and Intercontinental. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Now, of course, there are still like around 6 spots left in the World Cup. Four from Europe with through like the playoffs, and two from the Intercontinental Playoffs between the other countries from other confederations. So we're gonna start talking about Europe first. Now in Europe, they have Path A, B, C, and D. And of course, they are qualified by being finishing second in their group, or they to a higher position in the Nations League and on the last edition. Now we're gonna start about with Pat A. In Pat A, we have Wales, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Italy, and Northern Ireland. Now, to be fair, these are very solid teams, particularly Wales and Bosnia, because they finished second in their group. Both finished with 17 points behind their group leaders. And what Northern Ireland, on the other hand, they qualified because they basically finished in a very high position in the Nations League. But there's a big outlier, of course. If you, as you know, it's Italy. They surprisingly finished second again in the World Cup qualifying spot to Norway, who went undefeated, and actually Italy also lost both legs of their matchups. So it is pretty bad for Italian football. Like, you wonder, like, after a very convincing European European Euros performance, they would probably do better this year. But the last two editions shows us otherwise, and yeah, this is gonna be having flashback, and now you can say that this is Northern Ireland. This is gonna be a very easy opponent for them. That's the same thing as when they said about North Macedonia, and you know what happened? They lost. So there's that. So for me, but I believe that this Italian team is a bit different. Like, they are in like a rebuilding structure now, say status now, and yeah. So for the semifinals, I think I'm gonna pick Wales to go through, and of course Italy to go through. And as for the one who will get the World Cup spot, I believe this is probably gonna be the year that Italy will finally go back to the World Cup, unless Wales pulls like a miracle like that. Like, this isn't the first time they have been in this situation. Like like during the qualification for the 2022 World Cup, they did go through the playoffs again, and they won. So they have been in this position before, and they look to to qualify again. And yeah, this is going to be a very high mountain to climb, but I believe they can do it if they have the spirit to do it. Now let's talk to Pat B. Pat B, we have Ukraine, Sweden, Poland, and Albania. These are all four our solid teams. Of course, that Ukraine, they finished second in like France, although by quite a bit, and Poland also as well. I believe like Poland is probably like the strongest candidate to qualify from this path. Although Albania did surprise us with their performances in this year's qualification. Like, of course, they had to face England, who basically when won all their matches. But it's still very impressive too. They beat out Serbia for this playoff spot. So yeah, but Sweden has been disappointing in this qualification edition. Like, they only got 2 points, and and also obviously the reason they got this spot is because they qualified very high had a very high positions in the Nations League. So yeah, I believe they are surprisingly the weakest link in this group, despite having so many talents like Isaac, Bucharest, and so forth. And yeah, so for the semifinals, I think I will say Ukraine to go through the finals, and for the second one, it'll be a close matchup. But I think Poland will edge out Albania, just because of like how their national team is developing, like how Lewandowski is still their main talisman, and yeah, there's like a lot of young players are that are up and coming. And yeah, I think the squad is also a lot more balanced now than ever before. And as for the finals, I think I'm gonna pick Poland to qualify. Like they have qualified for the last two editions as well, and yeah, they it seems like that they have just an edge to beat out Ukraine. Although don't doubt Ukraine because of course they still have quality players on their disposal, both like Ilya Subarny and of course Alexander Sinchenko always somehow shows up for his country as well. So we'll see. But I for Pat B, I'm picking Poland. Now let's move on to Pat C. Now Pat C, we have of course Slovakia, Kosovo, Turkey, and Romania. Slovakia, they finished an impressive second behind Germany, even beat Germany in like one of the matches as well. And yeah, they have a very impressive team, obviously led by their star talisman Benjamin Sesko, who is in form right now in Manchester United, which I'm very happy about that. But we have to talk about Kosovo because their national team has been on the rise for the last decade. And yeah, this is basically a combination of that. Like, of course, like former Kosovan players who are now starting to join the national team, and of course coming right up from the leagues in Europe as well. And they finished a very respectable second behind Switzerland. And yeah, they even managed to beat out Sweden twice, which is very impressive. And of course, undoubtedly, the favorites of this path is Turkey. They finished very strong in the qualifications. Like I believe, like the only reason that they didn't qualify automatically was because the one country that is better than them in the group is Spain, which is of course like it's very hard to beat Spain. So yeah, like even other than that, didn't they managed to beat all their competitors in the group, and yeah, basically they're the strongest favorites in here. As for Romania, I think they did pretty alright. Like they finished like third in the group. Obviously, that means that they qualified because of through the Nations League, and yeah, to be fair, like they seem like to be like the weakest one in this group. Although they still have very solid players in the squad, I just don't feel like they have like the capability to go through to the World Cup. But anyway, for the semifinals, I'm gonna pick Slovakia to edge out Kosovo for this one. I feel like because they have faced strong opposition with Germany, I think they're just gonna edge out a bit, and I feel like they have a lot more quality in their team overall. And for the second one, of course, it's gonna be Turkey. It's gonna be a very convincing win. Like their superstars, like their team is basically complete and young as well, and that's the key point. So expect to see Turkey in the future as like a solid contender for like the European competitions. And of course, for the country that will qualify, I'm gonna pick Turkey because I feel like they have just enough quality to edge out Slovakia. Their team is more complete. Like they have like superstars like Arda Güler, and of course Yildiz, who's playing for Juventus, and Kenan Yildiz actually. So I believe the star power will edge out Slovakia in the end. And yeah, this is gonna be the first time in a while since Turkey had last been in the World Cup. I think the last one, I don't know if it was 2006 or the 2002 World Cup, where they did actually finish fourth. So yeah, this is gonna be a very interesting path to say the least. And for Path D, we have the Czech Republic, the Republic of Ireland, Denmark, and North Macedonia. Of course, this might be the strongest and the most equal path out of all the other paths. Maybe path B is probably in there somewhere, but yeah, so for me, like, this is probably the group of the path of death, to say the least. And yeah, of course, for Czechia, they finished second behind Croatia. I would say like they brought their performances from the Euros, like star talisman Patrick Schick starting to come out, and of course Tomáš Souček as well. And yeah, but of course, like Ireland, they had a fair, even though they finished second, they had a very impressive group. Like that group with Portugal and Hungary, and of course, it was particularly very hard. Especially like they even qualified to the playoffs in like a last minute match against Hungary. Like basically like the last two matches they were carried by Troy Parrott, who decided to become Robbie Keane for a bit, to say the least. And yeah, I believe like they are strong contenders for this one. As for Denmark, of course, like they were pretty solid, to be fair. But of course, like that last match against Scotland was crucial. They lost out in the end, and basically, like, to be fair, they were very equal in that, so I don't blame them. But yeah, Denmark, of course, they have probably the most complete team in this path. You got Rasmus Højlund, who is firing up right now. Patrick Dorgu, I don't know if he's gonna be back. Maybe not enough time to go to these playoffs. And of course, you got other players as well. That Denmark is historically very complete, and I think they're like the strongest team in this path. As for North Macedonia, of course, they finished third in their group behind both Belgium and Wales. And yeah, like, of course, they went through because of the Nations League. And yeah, I believe like they've they had a solid run, but I don't feel like the quality is there no more, especially since they lost their star talisman like for like a couple of years now. But this is a very interesting team, and maybe their spirit could help them qualify. And you know, this isn't the first time that they made an upset in the World Cup qualifiers, like Italy. So yeah, for Pat B, for the semifinals, I'm gonna pick Ireland and Denmark to go through to the finals, and for the qualifiers, I think because this is gonna be set in like like either Prague or Dublin, and they have like because they have the higher seed. I believe Ireland's gonna go through for like a shock. I believe like the home crowd will cheer them on, and yeah, like that home advantage will play a key role in that. And yeah, that's the European qualification spots done. Now let's get into the Intercontinental Playoffs. Now this is a very interesting one because there are gonna be 4 matches played while 6 teams are gonna be involved. And yeah, for the first bracket we have New Caledonia and Jamaica and the Republic of Congo, which is gonna play in the final match. Now this is very interesting. Of course, the Caledonia. I don't think they're gonna have a chance anyway. But like, this is basically like a free win for Jamaica unless they brought their bad performances from their CONCACAF World Cup qualifying performances to this one, which I don't think that will happen. I think the quality will see them through anyway. So yeah, there's that. But against the Republic of Congo, I believe like they're probably gonna qualify because um, like they had a very decent AFCON. Like in round of 16, they lost to Algeria, which is not a problem because they are really a strong team. And yeah, of course, like they got Wan Bissaka, yeah, like Yannick Bolasie, like Johan Wissa as well. Like that team is surprisingly strong. It's just they haven't played together for a while, especially for Wan Bissaka as well. So especially like in their this competitive level, I think they're gonna edge out Jamaica in this one because yeah, like this is gonna be very interesting. And yeah, I believe like their spirit to qualify will guide them through and get them over the top to qualify for the World Cup. And as for the second bracket, we have Bolivia, Suriname, and Iraq. For me, this is probably the most balanced bracket out of like a intercontinental playoffs for a while because yeah, like I believe like these teams play very well and like they have like equal power. Now the rankings might say otherwise, but for me, from what I've seen, they are very equal. Now, of course, like the first one, Bolivia against Suriname. Um, not gonna lie, I think I'm gonna pick Suriname for this one because, like, I believe like Bolivia will we doesn't have home advantage, of course, and yeah, they're gonna get caught out with this one, unfortunately. And as Suriname is experienced with like the Mexican climate because they are been there, and the elevation, maybe the elevation as well, I guess, because they're played in Guadalajara or Monterrey, and yeah, and they're gonna go to the finals, and of course now with Iraq, this isn't about like whenever whether they will qualify or not. It's whenever they qualify automatically because Iran is out of the competition because they cannot travel to the U.S. because of like the situation in the world. And yeah, like it's a question of like does Iraq qualify because they are like the next best placed team to replace Iran. And that's even a question because like they because of the the situation happening in the Middle East, they don't I don't know if they're even can go to the playoffs in Mexico. Like FIFA did offer them like a solution, but they rejected it. So hopefully, like the situation revolves even fast because, like to be fair, Iraq deserves this. Like they were very good in like the Asian Cup and throughout the qualifying process. And yeah, like their fans, especially like if you go to Bursa, like whoa, there is like the atmosphere is very good, and yeah, like their players are very like they have the heart to qualify HS through. So yeah, I believe like when it comes to Iraq and Suriname, I think Iraq will qualify for the World Cup, but we'll see about it. But yeah, I hope that they do well. So that is it, guys. Here are my predictions for like the World Cup qualifications for March. If you guys have any of your predictions, let me know. And yeah, if you like this video, like and subscribe, and see you next time.